Hello and welcome to the Asian game here at the FIFA Women's World Cup, where once again our coverage is brought to you by our good friends at SMC. Paul Williams down here in the heart of Adelaide at Victoria Square once again on what has been another big day for Asian footballers. Japan have won their way through to the quarterfinals with a big 3-1 victory over Norway in Wellington. We'll cross to our man Alex Bishop, who's unfortunately for him back in Tokyo right now, couldn't be there, but a huge win for Japan, 3-1. Really cementing their place now as one of the favourites to go on and win this tournament, which perhaps we thought we wouldn't have been saying at the start of this tournament. Of course, in our preview before this tournament started, we had Taka Ishihara and our man Alex as well on, and they thought quarterfinals was perhaps kind of where Japan might get to. They face a stern test, whoever it's going to be, America or Sweden in that next quarterfinal will be a stern challenge. So no guarantee that they are going to go any further than that. But given the football they are playing, the freedom with which they're scoring, they are looking very good at the moment and perhaps upsetting many people's pre-tournament predictions. They're now 4 games in, 4 wins, 14 goals scored, and just the one conceded, which came today against Norway. So just recapping the scores today, as I said, a 3-1 win over Norway. It was Ingrid Engen who opened the scoring with an own goal for Japan, which made it 1-0 after 15 minutes. Norway struck back 5 minutes later with a powerful header, but just after half-time, Riza Shimizu capitalised on some pretty lax defending from Norway on the 50th minute to make it 2-1 for Japan. They sealed all 3 points. There's no 3 points, but they sealed the win 10 minutes before full time when Hinata Miyazawa, one of the players of the tournament so far, now leading the Golden Boot with 5 goals, clear of Alexandra Popp, who of course has already gone home with Germany. She struck to get her 5th of the campaign. Beautiful counter-attacking goal to make it 3-1 for Japan. That is how it ended. They, as I said, move now on to the quarterfinals, where they'll face the winner of the USA-Sweden game, which takes place in Melbourne. But here's our man Alex. As I said, he's back in Tokyo now. He was sampling out some of the atmosphere around central Tokyo today to get a sense of what the mood was like in the capital for the Nadeshiko, given their excellent form so far. So he was out and about, and this is his recap on today's performance.
Hello and welcome to the match recap for Japan 3, Norway 1. A very organised performance from the Nadeshiko tonight. Yeah, I think heading into the game, this was one where you'd imagine Japan would have the odds would slightly be in Japan's favour, but you never know what it's going to throw up. There is some quality in the Norway side. They have some very good players playing in some top teams. So yeah, I think it played out how a lot of games generally do tend to play out for Japan. A lot of teams do know that if you stay compact, if you stay deep and let them come on to you, of course Japan will control possession, but you can get them on the counter. And very often the Nadeshiko find that it kind of frustrates them, and they will struggle to win out those games. Yeah, it kind of started along those lines. Early bit of luck for Japan. It was Hinata Miyazawa, the woman of the moment, current top scorer at the competition, who tried to look from range. There was a clearance. One of the Norway defenders attempted to clear it, but kind of missed, or misplaced it, I should say. And then the keeper, the confusion, it kind of just bounced its way in past the keeper, which will go down as an own goal. Norway did find some luck, and they did catch Japan on the counter. They did find some space on their right flank. Ball in, Wrighton, the strong forward, got a sublime header off, out jumped her marker, placed very well, right past Yamashita, who had no chance to make it 1-1. A very typical goal of how you would score against Japan. Things went on like that until the break. Went in 1-1, came out for the second half. More of the same, actually. Japan did take the lead. Again, bit of fortune, it must be said. The Norway defence didn't really deal with a loose ball. Risa Shimizu, the right wing back, cuts inside to latch onto it and fire past the keeper to give Japan the lead. Norway were then forced to come out a little bit. They did start playing a few more, getting a little bit more on the front foot, try some chances. I think it was Hansen is the forward, or not forward, sorry, she was the one who was driving the attack forward. Some chances were coming. It did look for a moment that Japan would have to sit there and defend for the remaining moments of the game, the remaining 20 minutes or so. But they did find a third through Hinata Miyazawa, who latched onto a loose ball, bore down on the keeper and slotted it home to make it 3-1 and put the game kind of beyond doubt. Yeah, and then Norway, they would try, but things really kind of just started to fall apart for them after that. There were chances for both sides really. A fantastic save from Ayaka Yamashita right, I think, on the 90-minute mark to deny Norway getting any kind of way back into this game. If you can hear that there's some summer fireworks going on at the moment. I don't think it's to celebrate the win. It'd be good if it was, but very typical in Japan. We do have these summer firework events that go on. Yeah, and that was it. Japan also had a few chances to kind of even make it fall. Keep the ball, in the opponent's half is often the best way to kind of see out a game, right? So they did try to play like that. They didn't really shut up shop and sit back in any way. They were very much in the game right up until the whistle goes, and that's it. Japan have secured progression to the quarterfinals of the 2023 edition of the Women's World Cup. They will meet either the USA or Sweden, who, has to be said, they will present a very probably a much tougher challenge than Norway did tonight, especially defensively speaking, especially tactically speaking. I think very different questions will be asked of the Nadeshiko once they do find out who they're going to play and they get to that stage. That will be around 1 week from now. So yeah. And another quick word on the overall popularity of the tournament here in Japan. I did spend the afternoon in a few places actually looking for a place to watch this game, see where it would be lively, see if the masses were coming out to watch this game. Maybe some fans, some neutral fans, some fans who might not have come to watch the World Cup, the Women's World Cup before. Maybe even some baseball fans, or anybody, if there's kind of neutrals have been enticed to come out and see what's going on. And I'd like to say that there is a new fan base. A nation has been awakened, shall we say, and is tuning in to watch their country play, watch them do well. And to an extent that's true. There's a few more people. I think the Spain game did a lot for that. The very impressive 4-0 victory over one of the favourites to win the whole thing, right? And we all know about the quality that they have within their ranks, and beating them so impressively, I think it raised a few eyebrows here. So that's probably done quite well, I think, to get people interested. But it is, I'd say at best, a kind of warming interest. There's a few people out, a few people with the Japan shirts on, like they would for the Samurai Blue, the men's team, and that kind of thing. Hopefully that'll just only get a little bit more. The popularity will only increase as we head into the latter stages, and who knows, it's a big ask, the next opponent to Sweden or the USA. It could be very good chance that could be the last stage, the last step for Japan. We're all hoping it won't, and I'll be there supporting, and I'm sure many people will, but I do think it'll be now or never to really kind of get things going. One thing that I've thought about, and we do tend to see, is kind of public viewing events for these events, for tournaments like this, whether it's baseball or football. Oftentimes we do have a lot, and it has to be said, Urawa Reds, they did do an event up at Saitama Stadium. I know their fans haven't exactly covered themselves in glory this week, but fair play, they did host a viewing event at Saitama Stadium, the restaurant there. I think a few fans, maximum capacity of around 200 people were allowed to get in, but they did do a little something. The problem that the JFA have had with finding public viewing places and maybe some of the hotspot locations like Shinjuku or Shibuya, Yogi Park. People who've been to Tokyo or know about Tokyo will know what these areas, and it's very popular, that kind of thing. They've struggled to book these locations. Primarily, I think it's because of the broadcast agreement. It didn't come through to the last minute, right? So if you don't know that you can even show the games, then why you're not going to go booking these locations to have a public viewing event for a game that you won't be able to actually show, right? So a lot of these locations have been booked up. The likes of these fireworks displays that was going on just a moment ago. We have a lot of different festivals, summer festivals that happen in these places. So that's kind of happened. Some of the local drinking places, the pubs and this kind of thing, they're having the game on, of course. And I'm sure there's like a lot of venues, a lot of izakayas and stuff like that. They'll be having their own things, and maybe a lot of clubs like Urawa Reds will follow suit and host things at the actual clubs themselves, at stadiums and things like this. That will go a long way to bring in the fans, people who are football fans already, to come in and get a few more eyes on the games and kind of galvanise that support, so people can really watch Japan and give them the support that quite frankly they deserve. This is a team that plays very positively. This is not a team that cedes possession and waits for things to happen. They play beautifully. They play with a very high degree of organisation that just entertains, basically, and I think there's a lot of people who are hoping that they go far. I think there's a lot of neutrals who are kind of endeared by the way that they play and how they kind of endear in that way. So we'll have to see how things go there, but for sure there is a growing support, and I just hope that will keep going from here. So next up, they will play, as I mentioned, it's either the USA or Sweden. Nadeshiko fans can now relax, enjoy the remainder of the round of 16 16 and see who they're going to play. And this will be quite the blockbuster game, I can assure you, whether that's Sweden or USA in the next round. I'll be with you for that with a full match recap and, of course, a preview before the game, and also a few other features that are in the works at the moment as well. Thanks so much, and all the best.
And a big thanks to Alex for that. He might be back in Japan, as I said, but still providing us with the goods, as Japan did with their big 3-1 victory today. Moving on and keeping the theme with Japan. Before we finish, I had the great pleasure recently of speaking to a former Nadeshiko player, Mami Yamaguchi, who played in the 2010 Women's Asian Cup for Japan. Unfortunately, didn't make the squad for the 2011 Women's World Cup, which, of course, Japan went on to win. Post her playing career, she's now in the States on the staff of Washington Spirit, and I had the great pleasure of sitting down to chat with her recently. Well, Mummy, thanks very much for joining us here on the Asian Game, for getting up early and joining us as well. I know it's been a bit of a challenge to organise these time zones between here and Adelaide and where you are in Washington, so I appreciate you getting up early for us today. I just wanted to start by talking about the Women's World Cup that's ongoing here at the moment. I don't know how much, speaking of time zones, I don't know how much you've actually got to see of it given the time zones, but I wanted to check and see how you thought Japan was going. They've got a big game coming up against Norway later this week. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you'd seen of Japan and what you'd been making of their performances so far.
Yeah, so I haven't been really watching all the games. I'm just following the highlight. And then I did watch the Japan against Spain whole game. And first off, I'd like to say that the game has evolved so much over the year, and it's clear to see, evolution pretty much like in the women's soccer. And, you know, Colombia beating Germany, and Zambia, Nigeria, like Jamaica, the country from Africa or South Africa, are coming, strong now. You didn't see that before. So, yeah, it's really rewarding to see, women's soccer has been evolving. And my country, Japan, it was nice to see how we beat Spain the other day. We had a clear game plan, and the team stick to the plan. And yeah, it was all about discipline and good strategy and good execution from the players, from the staff. And yeah, it's nice to see the team is playing well so far.
Yeah, definitely. It was, like you said, a very different performance from Japan, very disciplined in how they went about it, very pragmatic, very different from the opening two games that we saw. Given how they've played, a lot of people are now speculating that they might be a team to beat, to be able to go all the way and repeat their heroics from 2011. Do you share that same confidence and optimism that Japan might be able to actually do that and go on and win this tournament again?
I believe soccer, anything is possible. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how we do against Norway, because the way we're gonna approach to this game is different. The way we approach it against Spain, probably, we're gonna have the ball this time. And Norway, I believe they're gonna have a low block or middle block, and then probably counter us. So that's my guess, but you never know how we're gonna play, how they're gonna play. But this gonna be a good judge to see how we're gonna do.
I want to talk a little bit about women's football now and the development of it. I mean, you played, going back now a decade or so ago, for the national team, your club football as well. So in that time, from what you've observed, how has women's football developed as a product? How has it developed tactically from what you've seen from when you were a player to what it is now?
So yeah, I think technology is the big thing. 10 years ago, when I was playing for the national team, we didn't have a GPS or even heart rate. We didn't have, and now, all the teams are using GPS and technology, sports code, analysis, during the game even. So that's something the game has evolved using data, and then game has evolved tactically using those analysis and data. That's something big change from the time I played. But technically, I think you don't see much big difference. If I think about the players I play with, back then we were very good technically with the ball, and we had the ability to play in the tight space under pressure when I was playing as well. So I think if I would say one thing, is technology.
I want to talk about a little bit about your career now, if I can. Your club career, you played all over the world. You played in Japan, Sweden, and in America as well. And then after you finished your career, you've stayed on or gone back to America to use that as your launching pad effectively for your coaching career. So can you just talk to us about why you decided to choose America for that, and how you're enjoying it and how you're experiencing it over there so far?
Yeah, so after finishing my career back home, I first thing I wanted to do is finishing my degree, college degree. So that's why I came back to United States, and I was finishing my degree. And I did after that. I wasn't sure what my second career was, and then I was kind of searching in the States what's next for me. And then, yeah, coaching opportunity came up, and I just took it. And I started coaching the youth. And for 5 years, I was youth environment coaching and getting diplomas and yeah, getting the knowledge of the coaching. And then, yeah, Mark Krikorian, my former FSU coach, he called me and offered this job, and here I am, pretty much. And I've been enjoying every part of my job. It's my job is a bit new, so there's no example, and I gotta be creative. But I have a good people around me, and yeah, I'm still learning every day. But I just be I feel very grateful the people I work with. So it's been enjoyable to work with the top world top players every day.
So what's the ambition now for this new chapter in your career, this coaching journey that you're on? What's the ambition, the ultimate ambition that you're looking to achieve?
Um, ultimate ambition. For me, it's very same. Doesn't change from coaching youth and coaching the pro. It's always developing players and helping the players and empowering female players. So that's my kind of purpose or mission uh, as a coach.
I referenced earlier a little bit of your career. As I said, played club football, Japan, Sweden, the US. Played almost 20 times for the national team too. So had a fantastic career both at club and international level. So a few years on now from your decision to retire, how do you look back and reflect on your career overall?
Oh, I don't reflect much nowadays, but overall, I got injured when I was in Sweden and took a while to come back. So, but overall, I had a great career. I was able to play the top college here, and then able to play in Sweden professionally with Marta, were the best players, and we played the Champions League final. And playing internationally, it's always honorable and special to represent the country. And not just playing soccer professionally or internationally. I made really good friends all over the world. That's something more valuable in life. And yeah, watching World Cup now, but you know I have so much friends I can talk with, Netherlands, Sweden, or US, and yeah, it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, it's the beauty of the world game, isn't it? Talking about your national team career, you made your debut in 2007. Ironically enough, against the US. They have given that's where you're now based in San Jose. It was. What are your memories looking back now of that? What do you remember of that day and that occasion?
You never forget those moments, and yeah, at that time US was the best by far, and it was a kind of a dream came true. Kind of always wanted to play for national team, and then playing against the best team in the world was just unforgettable moment for me. So yeah, at that time also my roommate was Sawa Fomale. I don't know if you remember her, Sawa, the world best player. Yeah, first cap, first going to the national camp for the senior team, and my roommate was Sawa, and I remember like I was nervous like hell.
Uh,
Yeah, so
mentioning Sawa as you just did there. I mean, the players that you played with on the national team, you played with some wonderful players. Sawa, Ayamiyama, Saki Kumagai, who's still going around for Japan at this World Cup as well. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what they were like as teammates, what they were like to play with, and why they were able to be so good?
that's very hard. Sawa is just her existence on the field gave us some power, extra power. Just having her on the field, off the field, just meant to everybody. And then she always score a big moment. That's what the great player do. And Aya is another player, has a best intelligence, football intelligence I play with in the world. She has also the best technique. Her quality of the service, like, is just amazing, unbelievable. So yeah, it's yeah, I was very fortunate to play with those best players.
You played in the 2010 Asian Cup. Unfortunately, didn't make the squad for the 2011 Women's World Cup, which of course Japan then went on to win. I just want to ask you how you sort of dealt with the disappointment of missing out on that, and then how you felt sort of looking on as Japan then went on to win that tournament.
Yeah, it was. I don't know how I dealt. It was really tough moment for me in my life, and I felt really disappointed. My people, my family, they were very excited to come and watch me play in those biggest stage. But I think the biggest lesson I learned was you don't identify who you are just playing soccer. I was very heartbroken because everybody told me as I felt me just being valuable as a soccer player. Uh, but the biggest lesson I learned was, uh, yeah, you are good at playing soccer, but it doesn't define who you are. That was my lesson. And then also at the same time, the win, Japan winning the World Cup was something we always dreamed about, and was amazing to see my friends, my teammate doing that. And then that winning the World Cup changed, everything in our women's football culture. So, yeah, it was just amazing to see that happen.
And a big thanks to Mami and Washington Spirit for their cooperation in helping organise that interview. That is where we will leave things for today, as I said, here in Victoria Square in the heart of Adelaide. Big game coming up here in a couple of days' time. No Asian teams involved, but the real story of this Women's World Cup, Morocco will be playing here on Tuesday night as they take on France, looking to continue their fairy tale run. But before then, Asia's second team involved in the round of 16, of course, the home nation Australia will face Denmark in Sydney on Monday night. We'll be back tomorrow with a full preview of that game. But for tonight here in Adelaide, that's where we will leave things. A big thanks to our sponsors once again, SMC, for jumping on board and supporting us throughout this Women's World Cup. We couldn't do any of this coverage without their support, so we thank them enormously. I'll be back tomorrow, as I said, with a big preview of that game, Australia versus Denmark. But until then, it's bye for now.